to troubleshoot the waste management systems aboard Integrity. Now we'll continue to follow the mission here as the 4 astronauts work on the steps to activate some of the systems and prepare for the apogee raise burn. About 3 minutes from now, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll start the press briefing. That press briefing will happen on 24/7 live coverage. While that is happening, you can listen to the Orion to Earth loops and continue to cover the mission and views from the solar array wing cameras aboard Orion. And you can follow that at our clean live stream, also available at NASA's YouTube channel. This is Mission Control Houston, passing 1 hour and 23 minutes of mission elapsed time into the ARTEMIS II mission. The Integrity crew, about 800 statute miles over the Earth, currently passing over Australia. Commander Reed Wiseman confirmed that pass over Australia, they were able to peek out the windows and see that view from an altitude that is higher than any of them are used to. Jeremy.
Integrity Houston for GNC, we are taking channel 1 filter and VFS. Also for the solar array indication we saw earlier, we think that when the brake originally set, it was like on a tooth, and that when the engine lit for PRM, it slipped one tooth. That brake is now showing nominally.
Okay, Sam, yes, we copied that, and I'm just curious, I feel like about a half an hour ago you took 2 unfiltered in VFS. Is this nominal or is something happening?
Victor, this is nominal.
Okay, thanks. Copy.
Now 7 p.m. Central Time, and a mission elapsed time of 1 hour and 25 minutes. An update for viewers. We are continuing to cover the ARTEMIS II mission and see live views from the solar array wings. The press conference is scheduled for 7 p.m. The current start time for that press conference is 7:05 p.m. Central Time, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. During the conference, we are expected to execute the apogee raise burn. We're a little more than 20 minutes from the time of ignition of that burn. We do know that the time of ignition has been updated from the pad. This is the predicted time of ignition and trajectory that was uploaded to the crew prior to liftoff. The current time of ignition is 1 hour 46 minutes and 9 seconds. west. And they will transition to the Deep Space Network. The apogee raise burn time of ignition again at 1 hour 46 minutes and 9 seconds of mission elapsed time. That is expected and will occur during the post-launch press briefing. So as part of our 24/7 coverage, the briefing itself will overlap with that particular milestone. To follow along on our 24/7 coverage, we won't necessarily stop our coverage. The clean Orion to Earth loops will be available on our clean feed that will show a view similar to what you're seeing now. This is a view from the solar array wings, and you'll also hear the communications between Capcom Stan Love here and the crew board integrity, and you can listen as they confirm the execution of the burn and any changes of the burn. When we come back from the press conference, expected about around 8:05 p.m. Central Time, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, we'll go ahead and recap any of the milestones that occurred while we transitioned to the press briefing to answer questions that come from the press, and continue along on our 24/7 coverage.
Thank you. Integrity Houston, updated ARB numbers when you're ready.
Stan, we are ready.
And false alarm, still agreeing with that. We'll be back with you shortly.
Good practice call. Talk to you.
Roger. going to be over 6 minutes earlier than what's on your pad. You can expect that at NET 2 hours, 03 minutes, 04 seconds, 2:03:04.
2, 3, 4. Put a hand over with the East Bank stand.
You're welcome. Enter the 2 minutes.
PFE is reading 3, which is nominal.
Copy PFE. And integrity, we are ready for the Eclipse power down per your execute note.
All right, as we continue to follow along on the mission, here in Mission Control Houston on the Orion to Earth loops, we'll take you over to the beginning of the press briefing, the post-launch press briefing, over at the Kennedy Space Center.
Houston, integrity for fire out.
Go ahead, man.
That was heater roll, Stan, and for power down, we believe our steps are complete. If we could get just some situational awareness on the DU brightness, we feel like we have them 50% down, but let us know.
Checking. Integrity, we see DU3 right at center. We see DUs 1 and 2, a couple of clicks above center. We're checking power draw now.
Copy that, Stan, and obviously when we go into eclipse, we can bring them down a bit further.
Roger. And when we get into eclipse, we would like those extra clicks on DUs 1 and 2.
Yeah, you got it. We did bring 1 and 2 down a touch, but we'll bring them down as far as we can when we get to eclipse.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Booster ignition and liftoff. The crew of Artemis II, now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston, now controlling the flight and integrity of the Artemis II mission route.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the ultimate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the flight engines. Space launch system core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
Good evening and welcome to NASA's Artemis II post-launch news conference. I'm Bethany Stevens, Senior Advisor and Press Secretary, and I will be your moderator today. I am joined by Administrator Jared Isaacman, Associate Administrator Amit Shabria, Acting Associate Administrator for the Exploration System Development Mission Director, Dr. Lori Blaze, and Director of Flight Operations, Norm Knight. Administrator Isaacman will give opening remarks and then we will open the floor to questions. If you are dialing in to be with us here today, please press *1 to get in the queue. And with that, Administrator.
Thanks, Bethany. Good evening, everyone. So today, April 1st, 2026, 6:35 p.m., NASA's Space Launch System rocket lifted off the pad with 8.8 million pounds of thrust, carrying the Orion spacecraft and the Artemis II crew out to Earth orbit and beginning America's grand return to the moon. Now, about 51 minutes into the flight, during a planned handover between satellites, the Orion spacecraft underwent a communications issue, leading to a temporary partial loss of comms. The uplink from Capcom to the crew was being heard by the crew, but we could not hear the responses for a brief period of time. There were no issues with the vehicle itself. Comms with the crew had been restored. We're actively working the issue and will keep you informed. The Orion spacecraft has successfully separated from the core stage, and its solar arrays have been deployed as planned. Soon the crew will execute the apogee raise burn, placing the spacecraft into a stable, high Earth orbit as we prepare for the translunar injection and the journey into cislunar space. NASA astronauts Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian Space Agency mission specialist Jeremy Hansen are safe, they're secure, and they're in great spirits. We will continue to monitor their health and status as we move into the next phase of the Artemis II mission. So after a brief 54-year intermission, NASA is back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon. We have arrived at this point through a sustained effort and national commitment and the work of thousands across the agency, our industry partners, and our international allies. I want to personally thank the ground crews, pad controllers, the entire workforce here at Kennedy Space Center. This mission belongs as much to you as it does to the crew. The crew is now in the capable hands of Mission Control Houston, the Johnson Space Center, where teams will guide Orion through each phase of the mission with the same discipline and precision that has brought us to this moment. We have certainly been here before. We know the challenges ahead. We have a lot of checkouts to get through before TLI. And when, if all goes well, everything is go, Artemis II will be moonbound. You have our commitment to keep the public as informed as possible on this historic mission, and we will celebrate when this crew, we will hold our celebration until this crew is under parachutes and splashes down off the west coast of the United States.
So with that, we will open this up to questions and we will start here in the room if we have any takers. We'll start right up here.
Congratulations to all of you on a successful launch so far. My name is Jim Siegel. I'm with Florida Media Now, and I'm curious.
resolve the communications issue? Do you have any guesses as to what might have caused that? And was there any part of the mission so far that appeared off nominal, or is everything looking good? Just curious to hear how things are going on that. Thanks.
The comms issue, and there may be someone who has a little more detail than I do, have been run around quite a bit, but I think they're still looking into trying to really understand exactly what was going on there. But it's restored, which is important. I think it just
It was during handover. Tevis was.
yeah.
Sometimes that's squirrely ground configuration. You gotta get that right. So hopefully that's what it is. We'll chase it down. But they were able to recover. They had intermittent forward and return links, so the burns that they needed on board it was never an issue. It was unusual for it to be dropped out for a couple minutes. So that's what we're telling you. We had a controller issue with the toilet when they spun it up, so we got to work through that. That's going to take maybe a few hours to troubleshoot. So there was also a water tank valve. There's 4 water tanks that ran. There's a crossover valve that connects the 2 gangs of tanks. It's supposed to be open to ensure maximum flow. If it's closed during asset, when you shake the thing, things like that happen. So they're going to reset the valve. And then they had a recurrence of on Artemis I, we had a latching current limiter failure on a piece of electronics, a transient failure when it gets exposed to radiation. They took 1 hit of those. We took about 24, 25 of those during Artemis I. Again, normal, the onboard fault detection cleans that up, but we're just getting started, Joey.
This flight test, and a lot of what we're doing here is exactly this, trying to test out all of the things that require the crew interaction, right? And so we anticipate to have a lot of these. That's what we're here for, work through them.
Sawyer.
Yeah, that was your word. Before go. So we're going to stay in space.
Sawyer.
Thank you, Sawyer Rosenstein, NSF. I noticed that the slide wire baskets happened to deploy during launch. Is that something that was expected? And can you give any initial reports, at least what you've seen from the cameras, of how the mobile launcher is doing, given the hope to be able to quickly turn it around?
Baskets, I can talk about the terminal.
The baskets they're supposed to get out of the way. That's part of the plan. So otherwise they take some loads and we don't like that.
So I can tell you, on the mobile launcher, our team has already been looking at a lot of the imagery that we have that was taken, both during and after, and assessing that, trying to get the condition. We've got teams, I believe, going out there. They might already be out on their way to take a real look. Some of the good things that we've seen relative to Artemis I, one of the issues we had was that the water that was supposed to be spraying down the launch pad, so that there were some issues there that didn't happen. We saw a lot of corrosion. The water was working, so things were getting washed down. We're still also going to remove some of the parts so that we can do some of that cleaning to make sure we don't have those corrosion issues. We haven't seen evidence of things like after Artemis I, like the elevator doors were blown off. We haven't seen that. So we're optimistic, but we got to get out to the pad. We got to look. We did a lot of changes after Artemis I, trying to harden the system so that we can turn it around faster. We do anticipate there will be some items that will need to be replaced. It's a pretty violent environment, but we're hopeful that that's minimized, and as soon as we have more information on that, we'll definitely let you guys know where we stand and how quickly we think we can get it turned around. Thanks.
Lauren.
Lauren Grush with Bloomberg. I just wanted to get a gut check on how we're feeling about the upcoming proximity and ops of operation. Do we have any concerns with that TDRS delay, or is that not an issue for that?
I would say right now we're on for the proximity operations demo. Haven't heard anything that's keeping us from that, Norm?
No. On track, ready to go. Victor Glover is going to be flying it. Reed's going to be working the procedure with him. And cross-checking, and Jeremy and Christina are going to be looking out the windows, also spotting, cross-checking, using cameras and imagery. And it should be beautiful, so we can't wait.
We'll go right over here.
This is Bert Dick from Ad Astra Magazine and National Space Society. Just wondering if the astronauts reported what the ride was like to orbit. I know that the space shuttle, it was a pretty rough ride until it was SRB set. Was this similar?
I have not heard a report yet. I know we will get a report. Again, when MECO happened, immediately they were getting prepped to do their perigee raise maneuver. That's critical. Otherwise, they come back to Earth, which we don't want them to. So they got that. They are working to get their spacesuits off. They just got the ARB burn, which was very important. So now they're working to get their suits off. So they are very busy. Now later today, I anticipate they will call down and give us a full brief as to how the Proxox demo went, how the ride uphill went, and I personally can't wait to hear the comparison between this massive rocket and the shuttle.
Micah?
Thanks, Bethany. Mike Maynard, Wall Street Journal. Maybe for the administrator, I'd like to ask you, I know we're early on here, how you're thinking about success for this mission, defining success. A lot of tests ahead. And just what happens if you don't kind of meet that standard as the flight unfolds? Thanks so much.
Well, to me, success is undershoots in the water safely after a 10-day mission duration. So no early off ramps there. I think right now we're already getting good Eclipse data. We've never flown Orion with crew on board, so that's pretty important. Understanding the Orion spacecraft is it's paramount in this one to progress on to integrated operations of Orion with a lander. Every day we're getting data. It was mentioned from the get-go. This is a test mission for sure. No crew have ever ridden this before. We'll keep gathering data. The next 10 days we'll share updates, but we'll call it success when we're in the water safely, and then we'll start working on the next mission.
Jackie?
Right here. Sorry if I missed it. I just wanted to check in on the status of the perigee and apogee burns. Are those both finished at this point? And then I also wanted to check the best way to explain to the audience why we're doing that apogee raise maneuver and why we go into that higher orbit. Thanks so much.
I can certainly say we completed the perigee raise maneuver. That was done pretty quickly, as you heard, and the apogee raise burn should have already happened. That should have been happening while we sat here. They were getting ready as we were walking in. And then if you want to talk about the rest
We go to a high Earth orbit. Roughly, the perigee is about 1,000 rough miles, give or take. The Earth, 25,000. So it's pretty elliptical. That's getting us, everything we do is getting us set up for the transmitter ejection burn. And so it's getting these burns. It's all converging down to what we call TLI. So we got to get the Eclipse system checked out. We got to make sure we have a redundancy. We got to make sure these burns go off where they should go off, and get Orion and NASA configured exactly where it needs to be. So when it comes around and it's time for the transmitter ejection burn, off we go. And that takes us really, that puts us outbound to the moon. That's a real big commit point. And so you'll be hearing more about that tomorrow.
not only sends us outbound to the moon, but it also sets us up for gravity. That brings us back, so we are set all right.
Yes.
Once we make that burn.
All right, back here.
TJ was going with the Epoch Times. Thank you all so much. Something that we really talked about is that the Space Launch System predates the Artemis program. Got going all the way back to 2011. So 15 years really invested in this. Just how does it feel to finally see it launch with a human crew?
Yeah, right now, like I said, we're focused on the next 10 days. But I'll tell you, I'm incredibly proud of the folks that worked on this machine for as long as they did. The one thing we didn't talk about earlier was, that one of the big objectives is getting the organization and getting our qualification standards and getting our certification rigor up to the standard for crewed flight. That's a big, even though the mission is a complicated mission, moving the entire organization to a mindset of thinking about risk in the right way to fly crew is a big deal. And making sure that the way we've gotten the machine configured to fly crew with the resilience and reliability we care about is also a big deal. So it takes time. We got a lot in front of us, but it's for the guys that were out there, there's a big celebration in launch control for the rocket guys. The rocket guys can go out and play now, but the spacecraft guys go out and work. So they're going to go work on that. But yeah, for them, I can see it on their faces.
Jeff?
space launch have for the U.S. and NASA? Thank you.
Well, it's certainly an incredibly important step. I mean, this is the first crewed mission into this environment in more than a half century on a rocket that has never flown human beings before, along with a spacecraft. So it's incredibly important because we're going to learn an awful lot from this to inform subsequent missions. So yes, this is the beginning. I can tell you, having had an opportunity to speak with the Artemis II crew after the State of the Union address, we talked a lot about what we wound up sharing with the world at the Ignition event about adding additional missions, accelerating production, building out a moon base. I think it was very energizing for the crew because they knew that they were, this is a risky mission for sure. Any type of new test flight mission going in this environment is going to be challenging. And they knew it was building up to something bigger. And I think it was very helpful for them in that regard. So, and certainly it was very helpful for me to hear their feedback as well. I would suspect a point or two wound up in the Ignition event from them. So.
I'm going to go back here to the white shirt.
Thanks, Denise Chow with NBC News. I think for Lori or Norm, I'm curious what you anticipate could be some of the biggest challenges over the next few days, whether that's from a spacecraft or system standpoint or crew workload.
I'll jump in. Flight day 1 from a crew workload is pretty tough. Between now and TLI, we're working the crew really hard. In fact, when they go to sleep tonight, they're woken up in the middle of their sleep to do the perigee raise burn, and so their sleep's disrupted. They're hitting on all cylinders. They may not be feeling well. On top of that, so we know that flight day 1 and flight day 2 up to TLI is really good. We know it drops off there, and so going into this, we trained for that. We did simulations with this. We put the crew in exactly that state. Now they weren't on orbit. They probably were feeling great, but we got a good gauge. Hey, are we working them too hard? And the mission control team is great because they're watching the crew constantly. They're watching their performance, and we also have a crew that's very good at saying, hey, enough's enough. And so together, we will make certain that we're doing everything in the best interest of meeting the mission objectives, making sure that we're not working the crew so hard that they make mistakes or something of that nature. And again, we work as a collective team going forward. So this is our best opportunity, and they may add more stuff to the timeline before it's all done, and they may take some stuff out if we need to, but we adjust all the time on those things. So that's leading up to TLI. That's probably one of the bigger challenges, making sure we get those done.
We go right up here.
Hi, Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com. For the administrator, you mentioned the 53-year hiatus, and in that time, now most of the world's population wasn't alive for Apollo, like I think you and me. And I wonder if you have a sense of, if even this early in the mission, that this has captured the imagination of those people that have never seen anyone go to the moon before on a world level, on the national level, and how important is it to NASA to capture that support from the public?
Yeah, I've said it many times. I absolutely. we say often that when we undertake these type of endeavors, we never go alone. We go with our international partners. We have a Canadian Space Agency astronaut that's on board this mission. We are carrying a lot of CubeSats from our Artemis Accords partners, and we are going to continue to do this going forward. JAXA is contributing a pressurized rover, a major contribution to our efforts of having an enduring presence on the lunar surface itself. The Italian Space Agency, just a few days ago, we signed a memorandum of understanding for a habitation module on the surface of the moon, a component of the moon base. And to be honest, it was also a key component to the ignition event from last week. Half of the Artemis Accord partners were present. We spent a good portion of the second day talking together, recognizing that some of our partners